Dear secondary students, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to a new lesson of English which is entitled The News. Listen to the news stories, then answer the questions. News stories. Good morning. Here are today's headlines on Monday, 5th of October. A fire started in a supermarket late last night, and 20 firefighters are still at the scene. Investigators say it is unclear how the fire began, but the police think it had been started deliberately. The police and fire services had been called earlier in the evening, but they left when everything appeared to be okay. At the time, they believed it was yet another false alarm. At midnight, a woman phoned again and said she had flames at the back of the supermarket. And by the time the firefighters arrived, the fire had moved to the front of the shop. A Lebanese photographer has won a top photograph competition for his photo of a desert sunrise. 22 years old, Marwan Hamid told journalists that he had used an old digital camera to take his photo and was surprised that it had looked so good. Marwan entered his first photo competition when he was only 8 years old after he had been given a book about photography by his uncle. He didn't win that time, but he has continued to take photos and is now working as a professional photographer for a news channel. Antigua and Barbuda is the latest country to offer digital nomads, people who can work anywhere in the world on their computer, the opportunity to live and work there for 2 years. Until COVID-19 arrived, the country's main income had been tourism. But now, with people having fewer holidays, the government has offered digital nomads a fantastic opportunity to enjoy life on their Caribbean islands. Our Caribbean correspondent, Melody Smith, told us if we want a relaxing place to work, then this is perfect. Now let's answer the questions. Number 1. When did the fire start? It started late on Sunday night. Number 2. Who phoned the police the second time? A woman phoned them the second time. Number 3. What did Marwan use to take his winning photograph? He used an old digital camera to take this photo. Number 4. How did Marwan feel when he looked at his photo of the sunrise? He was surprised that it was so good. Number 5. Who has been offered the chance to live on the island of Antigua for 2 years? The digital nomads. The past perfect. Today we have the past perfect. First of all, let's see the use of past perfect. We use it to talk about things that happened before another action in the past. What is the difference between the past perfect and the past simple? We use the past simple to describe a series of past events in chronological order, and we use the past perfect for making it clear that one of the events happened before. Compare these two sentences. When I arrived, she left. She left after I arrived. The second sentence, when I arrived, she had left. She left before I arrived. In the first sentence, we have the two actions happened at the same time, so we used the past simple in both sentences. Second sentence, we have the past perfect in the first action. She had left. That's because she had left before I arrived. The form of the past perfect. We use it in this form: had plus past participle in active form. We make the past perfect with had or hadn't plus past participle. Verb plus ed for regular verbs and the third column form for irregular verbs. This is the past participle. If we have regular verb, we form it by adding ed. But if we have irregular verb, it is the third column form of the verb. Let's see the examples. I hadn't been there before. She had never worked. The past perfect is the same for all persons. In all pronouns, we use had plus past participle. I, you, he, she, it, we, they, all of them take the same form of the past perfect. Had left when I arrived. We can contract had to apostrophe D. I called him, but he had gone to a meeting. Look here, we put had as a apostrophe D. The question form of the past perfect. It starts with question word plus had plus subject plus past participle. For example, had Huda played tennis? We can say yes she had or no she hadn't. The negative form. Had not plus past participle. For example, she hadn't finished her homework. Now let's see the key words of the past perfect. After, as soon as, and when. They must be followed by past perfect. Then the second action will be in the past simple. By the time, before, and when, they must be followed by past simple. Then the second action, past perfect. For example, what had he done before returning home? Now, complete these sentences with the past simple, past perfect, or past perfect passive form of the verb in brackets. Number 1. Once the journalists ask all their questions, the politicians leave. We want to correct these two verbs. The answer will be had asked. The second verb, left. Number 2. The people in the city feel a lot safer after the wild animal catch by the police. Here we have after, so we put the first verb in the past simple. It will be felt. The second verb will be in the past perfect. Had caught. Number 3. The press conference already started by the time the TV cameras arrive. The key word here, by the time. So the first verb will be in the past perfect. Had already started. The second verb, arrived, in the past simple form. Number 4. The scientist informed the press after he discovered a new plant species. The key word here, after. The first verb will be in the past simple form, informed. The second verb will be in the past perfect form, had discovered. Number 5, the editor check all the headlines before he send the stories to the printers. Here the key word before. The first verb will be had checked in the past perfect form. The second verb will be in the past simple form, sent. Now we have come to the end of this lesson. Thank you and see you later in the next lesson.